Assalamualaikum and good day to everyone. My name is Muhammad Farhan bin Marawi and I'm from class KB 82722A. Today I will be presenting on the Murabah contract, which is one of the most commonly used Sharia contracts in Islamic finance. The main purpose of this presentation is to explain the basic concept of Murabah, how it is applied in Islamic banking, the key regulatory challenges surrounding its implementation, and finally, to share my personal view on its relevance in today's financial system. So, what is Murabaha? Murabaha is classified as a cost plus sale contract. This means that the seller discloses the original cost of the asset and adds on agreed profit margin, which is known by both parties from the beginning. Murabaha is permissible under Islamic law because Islam encourages trade and real economic activities, while strictly prohibiting riba or interest. Unlike conventional loans, the profit in Murabaha does not arise from lending money, but from selling an asset at a markup. Another important Sharia requirement in Murabaha is transparency. Both the cost price and the profit margin must be clearly disclosed to avoid uncertainty or deception, which are prohibited in Islam. In practice, the Murabahah process begins when a customer identifies an asset that they intend to purchase, such as a car, equipment, or machinery, and then applies for Murabahah financing from an Islamic bank. After receiving the application, the Islamic bank evaluates the customer's creditworthiness and ensures that the asset and its usage are Sharia compliant. Once approved, the bank purchases the asset directly from the supplier using its own funds. At this stage, the bank becomes the legal owner of the asset and bears the ownership risk, even if only for a short period. This step is crucial because under Sharia, profit can only be earned when risk is assumed. After ownership is established, the bank sells the asset to the customer at an agreed selling price, which includes the original cost and the disclosed profit margin. The customer then pays the selling price either through installments or deferred payment based on the agreed terms. Despite being widely accepted, Murabahah faces several regulatory challenges. One major concern is its resemblance to conventional interest-based loan, particularly because Islamic banks often benchmark their profit rates to conventional interest rates. Although benchmarking itself is not prohibited, it raises public perception issues and questions about the authenticity of Islamic banking products. Another regulatory challenge involves asset ownership and risk transfer. In some cases, banks minimize the duration of ownership or rely heavily on constructive possession, which may weaken the substance of Sharia compliance. There is also concern about the excessive reliance on Murabahah by Islamic banks. While Murabahah provides stable and predictable returns, its dominance limits the use of risk-sharing contracts and may prevent Islamic finance from achieving its broader socio-economic objective. Academic studies have highlighted that the dominance of Murabahah has led to debt-oriented Islamic banking system that closely resembles conventional banking structures. Some scholars argue that Murabahah transactions often comply with Sharia in form, but not fully in spirit, especially when the focus is on efficiency and profitability. As a result, many articles recommend that Islamic banks should diversify their financing instruments and increase the use of equity-based and profit and loss sharing contracts to strengthen the identity of Islamic finance. From my perspective, Murabahah remains a practical and widely accepted financing contract in Islamic finance, particularly for asset-based and short-term financing. Its structured nature and predictable returns make it suitable for modern banking while ensuring compliance with the prohibition of riba. However, I believe that the main concern lies not in the permissibility of Murabahah, but in its implementation. In practice, murabahah is sometimes treated more as a financing tool rather than a genuine transaction, which may weaken its Sharia substance. In my opinion, Islamic banks should place greater emphasis on real asset ownership, proper risk assumption, and transparency throughout the transaction. These elements are essential to ensure that murabahah reflects Islamic ethical values rather than merely meeting legal requirements. In conclusion, murabahah continues to play an important role in Islamic banking due to its simplicity and wide acceptance. It allows Islamic financial institutions to offer Sharia-compliant financing solutions that meet market needs. However, the effectiveness of murabahah depends heavily on how well it is implemented. Issues such as similarity to conventional financing, weaknesses in ownership practices, and excessive reliance on murabahah highlight the need for stronger governance and Sharia oversight. I believe that murabahah should remain a core financing instrument, but not the only one. By strengthening Sharia governance and promoting greater use of risk-sharing contracts, Islamic finance can better achieve its ethical and socio-economic objective. To conclude, murabahah will remain relevant if it is implemented with integrity, transparency, and a strong commitment to Sharia principles. Thank you for listening, and Assalamualaikum.